What if I told you the exercise that decides whether you keep getting out of your own chair was demonstrated on television in 1959 by a man still doing it at 89? Not a machine, not a gym, a chair. And after 60, leg strength can fade before you even notice it. His name was Jack LaLanne, and here's what he said about the chair you're sitting in right now.
But if you use this chair like we're going to right now, you can make yourself firmer and more beautiful and healthier and more vital, more alive.
Jack meant that literally. The dining chair in your kitchen was the equipment. You didn't need a machine or a gym. The chair in your home was enough. And here's the thing, you may already walk most days because that's what you've always been told to do. But walking does not challenge your legs the same way getting up from a chair does. The numbers suggest Jack was onto something important. In a study of nearly 1,900 older adults, leg strength fell about 3 times faster than leg muscle size. The leg can look almost the same while losing its ability to produce the same force. Knee strength alone drops roughly 14% every decade, and researchers measuring stair climbing found that a single flight can demand nearly all the knee strength an older adult has left. That is how the decline can unfold. First, you start using the armrests. Then the stairs feel harder. Eventually, you may need someone's hand just to get out of a chair. And suddenly, the conversation becomes about how independently you can keep living. Jack seemed to understand something decades ago that modern research can now put numbers to. Strong legs are not built by training one muscle in isolation. Your lower legs, your thighs, and your hips have to work together as one chain. And that is exactly what we're going to cover today. We'll work from the floor up through 3 areas Jack trained again and again. Then we'll finish with the movement he was still demonstrating at 89. Number 4, the chair-supported heel raise. This movement appeared early in his original television program, and he was very specific about what it was meant to work.
This first movement we're going to do, it's going to work from the knees down.
From the knees down is where we're going to start, because this is the foundation of every step you take. Every time you walk, your calf and ankle do most of the pushing. Researchers at the University of North Carolina studying walking mechanics estimate the calf and ankle supply 70 to 80% of the power that moves you forward. So when that part of the leg weakens, you do not stop walking. Your body quietly finds another way to do it. The work gets handed upward to the knee and to the hip. Biomechanics labs can actually measure that shift happening as people age, and you feel it long before you can name it. Steps that get a little shorter. Legs that tire sooner on the same walk you have always taken. A foot that does not quite clear the ground the way it used to. That is why we start here. The calf is also one of the easier places to begin because you can work it standing still, with a chair in front of you. Stand behind a sturdy kitchen chair, feet about hip width apart, toes pointing straight ahead. Rest your hands on the chair back for balance rather than gripping it for support. Rise slowly onto the balls of your feet, taking about 2 seconds. Hold for a moment at the top, then lower down more slowly than you came up. That slow lowering is where most of the work happens, and it is the part almost everyone rushes. Jack did this with his heels together and his toes turned out the way they taught it in 1959. We're going with the straight foot version here because it tends to be gentler on the knees. The movement itself is the same one he was doing. Aim for 8 to 12 repetitions. If you're just starting, begin with 8 and only add more while you can keep the lowering slow and controlled. Here is a check you can run while you are doing it. If you feel this mostly in your toes, your weight has slid forward into the chair. Come back down and start again with your weight over the middle of your foot. For the first few mornings, expect your calves to start complaining somewhere around the 6th repetition. That is the muscle waking up. By the end of the first week, that 6th repetition should stop being the one that stings. You can make this part of your morning without turning it into a workout session. A few controlled repetitions beside the same sturdy chair is enough to begin building the habit. But lifting your heels is only the first piece of the puzzle. Getting out of a chair asks much more from your legs because now you are moving your entire body weight upward. And this is where Jack left us another useful clue. Decades ago, he was already isolating the front of the thigh with a simple chair-supported movement, long before modern aging research could measure just how important that muscle is for standing, climbing stairs, and staying independent. That brings us to number 3. The chair-supported front thigh extension. From the lower legs, Jack moved immediately to the muscle that helps carry you upward.
Now, next we're going to do something for the front of the upper leg, right here, thigh.
The front of the upper leg, your quadriceps straighten the knee and help keep it steady while your weight is on it. Think about the last time a staircase felt harder than it used to. That was this muscle. Not the stairs and not your age in general. This one muscle being asked for more than it had left that day. Researchers at the University of Southampton measured exactly how much stairs ask for, and the answer surprised them. For an older adult, climbing a single flight can demand almost all of the knee strength available. There is very little held in reserve. And in a study of nearly 2,800 older adults who could all still walk without difficulty, low knee extension strength turned out to be the clearest early signal of who would slow down in the years that followed. So here is how Jack trained it. Stand straight, with your back tall and your hands resting lightly on the chair beside you. Lift one foot off the floor and slowly straighten that leg out in front of you. Straighten it all the way and hold for 2 seconds. That hold is the exercise. Then lower slowly and change legs. 8 on each side is plenty to begin with. You will feel this just above the knee and sooner than you expect. Somewhere around the 5th repetition on the second leg, that muscle will tell you exactly how long it has been getting away with doing less. Now, a knee that straightens well gets you halfway out of a chair. It is the reason your leg locks underneath you once you are standing. But something has to lift you off the seat before your knee ever gets the chance. That job belongs behind you, and it is the part of your body Jack taught us to train next. Number 2, the chair-supported rear leg lift.
To firm up the old hips, the back part.
This is where the movement becomes even more important. Your lower legs help you push from the floor. Your thighs help you rise and support your weight. But the muscles around the back of your hips help drive your body upright and keep you moving forward. Jack had a much simpler name for that area. He called it the back porch. The back porch is easy to ignore because you cannot see it working. Researchers comparing older and younger walkers found that healthy older adults used about half of their available hip strength just to walk normally. Younger adults used about a quarter. The important part is what that leaves behind. If an ordinary walk is already using half of what you have, there is much less left when the task suddenly gets harder. A staircase asks for more. A low chair asks for more. That shrinking reserve is one reason your legs can start feeling heavier even though your body weight has not changed. In other words, an older hip can already be working near its limit during an ordinary walk. And this is where Jack kept things remarkably simple. He did not need a machine to isolate the back of the hips. He used the same chair he had been using throughout the program. The movement was small, controlled, and aimed directly at what he called the back porch. So stand behind a sturdy chair and step back slightly. Lean forward a little from the hips while keeping your back comfortably straight. Then lift one leg behind you only as far as you can without arching your lower back. Pause for about 2 seconds at the top, then lower the leg with control. Start with 8 repetitions on each side.
Ready, begin. 1, slow, up, down. Keep your head up.
The range does not need to be large. If you mainly feel your lower back working, shorten the movement and try again. If these muscles have not been trained directly in a while, even this small range can feel surprisingly demanding. So now you have trained all 3 pieces separately: the push from the lower legs, the strength from the thighs, and the drive from the hips. Number 1 brings all 3 together in the movement that matters most here: standing up from a chair. It is also a movement used in aging and mobility assessments because it reveals how much lower body strength and power you can actually produce when you need it. And this is where Jack's example becomes so remarkable. At 89, he was still able to rise from a chair without pushing off with his hands. Number 1, the no-hands chair rise. This is where everything we have trained separately finally comes together. And researchers have paid close attention to this simple task for a reason. The National Institute on Aging helped establish repeated chair rises as part of a short lower body performance test. In one study, researchers followed more than 1,000 adults over 70 for 4 years. How well they performed on those simple physical tasks helped predict who was more likely to develop mobility difficulties later on. They were not being asked how much weight they could lift, they were being asked to get out of a chair. It is not really a strength test, it is a speed test. Standing up is something your body has to do in about 1 second. Researchers call that power, which is simply strength delivered quickly. Power tends to fade earlier than raw strength does. That is why someone can still feel reasonably strong while getting out of a chair has quietly become a project. So here's how to practice it. Sit toward the front of a sturdy chair with both feet flat on the floor and pulled slightly back underneath you. Lean your chest forward over your knees. That forward shift matters because it brings your weight over your feet before you ask your legs to lift you. From there, press through your feet and stand without pushing off your knees or using your hands. Keep your arms folded across your chest. Come all the way upright. Then lower yourself back into the chair slowly, taking about 3 seconds instead of dropping into the seat. Start with 5 controlled repetitions. The goal is not to rush through them. It is to make every rise and every lowering deliberate. And this is the part that makes Jack's demonstration at 89 so remarkable. Watch how he rises from the chair without using his hands.
Stand up. Let's go. Up, down, up, down.
Now, if you cannot do this without your hands yet, that is useful information rather than a failure. It simply tells you where to start. Use a higher chair or place a firm cushion underneath you, which shortens the distance your legs have to cover. If you need a little more help, rest your fingertips lightly on the armrests and use only as much pressure as you need. Over the coming weeks, try to rely on them a little less. And if you feel unsteady at any point, keep a hand on something solid. Nothing about this movement is worth a fall. There is one more thing worth knowing before you try it, because it is the part most people have backwards about age. Researchers once worked with 100 frail nursing home residents. Their average age was 87 and the oldest was 98. After 10 weeks of strength training, their strength had more than doubled. Their walking speed improved, and so did their power on stairs. 87 years old and the muscles were still listening. Muscle does not stop responding because of a birthday. That matters because many older adults have been told that walking should be enough. Walking is excellent. It gets you outside, keeps you moving, challenges your heart and lungs, and gives you something your body needs every day. But do not let walking become your only medicine. Walking mostly practices the movement of walking. It does not challenge your legs in the same way standing from a chair, climbing a staircase, or lifting your full body weight from a dead stop does. Those tasks require something walking alone may not preserve as well: lower body strength and power. And that is the ability that helps determine whether you keep rising from the chair on your own. So here is the full routine. It takes about 6 minutes. Start with the heel raises at the chair. 8 to 12 repetitions, training the lower legs that help push you from the floor. Then the seated thigh extensions, 8 on each side, building the strength that helps you rise and support your weight. Next come the rear leg lifts, 8 on each side, working the hips that help drive your body upright, and finish with 5 no-hands chair rises, standing with control and lowering yourself slowly back to the seat. That is the progression Jack was showing us all along. Lower legs, thighs, hips, and finally the movement that asked all 3 to work together. Keep it simple. Use the same sturdy chair and make those few minutes part of a routine you can actually repeat. Do not judge yourself by the first session. In the beginning, the goal is simply to learn the movements and control each repetition. As they become more familiar, pay attention to the thing that matters most: how getting out of the chair actually feels. Does the forward lean feel smoother? Are you using your hands less? Does the lowering feel more controlled? Those are the changes worth paying attention to, because that was really the point behind Jack's approach. You did not need complicated equipment or a perfect workout. You needed something simple enough to keep doing. A chair you already own, a few minutes, and a reason to come back to it tomorrow. And that brings me to the thought I want to leave you with. On one of his early broadcasts, Jack compared progress to climbing a staircase. You take it one step at a time, and before long, you find yourself much closer to where you wanted to be. He said that in his 40s, but he kept living by that same idea for decades afterward. So keep using your body little by little so it can keep doing the things you ask of it.